Ran family, welcome back. This is we're trying to figure it out, but I think this is episode 7 is what we're saying. Is that right?
Yeah, I don't want to play it because he'll play.
But we're good morning. I don't know when you'll listen to this, but it's morning here. We it's a little different than our usual afternoon, but different commitments. So we got up early and came here not real early. We got here around 9, and we're about an hour into setting up and just chatting. But we're, as always, blessed and excited to be able to get together and share Jesus, share about what's going on in our lives as we continue to try to be transparent, try to be vulnerable. And the reason for that always is to point to Jesus. So we calling this episode 7?
Yes.
All right, episode 7. Welcome. Thank you all for listening. We've been busy. My little girl turned 2 yesterday.
Wow.
And it was, sorry, see, this is how much time flies. She turned 2 on Thursday. Today is now Saturday. So 2 days ago, she turned 2. And it's special to see your children grow up. Even just 2. We celebrated. We ended up not doing much. We had an appointment with our tax guy. So that's a good way to celebrate your 2-year-old's birthday.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
loves that.
Yeah.
She appreciated it.
They stayed in the car, and when I finished, came out, and Luca had a fever. So our plans to do stuff with little girl went out the window. We went home. Yesterday we stayed home, and so hopefully today we're actually gonna go do a little something with her. She loves cats. There's a cafe in Fountain Square, and they have cats. So I think that's where we're gonna go do, because that's what she likes. So she'll have fun looking at the cats. But
So you guys have a cat?
no,
Okay.
we do not have cats.
I
We
didn't
have
think so. I knew you
3
had
dogs.
dogs.
That's
Yeah.
it, man. We no cats, no thank you. I think cats are
Amen.
cool, but I'm a dog person,
Yep,
and there's an outdoor cat. We live kind of in the farm, and it's really my neighbor's cat. He takes care of it. So she gets to see it, and that's enough cat
That's
for
as
me.
far as-
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
But as I was thinking about kids, kids will expose you. You think you're patient, and then your almost 4-year-old won't stay in bed because, I have to go potty one more time. Well, you just did right before we went to bed. Fine, go. And then, I got to find this one toy. I need to find Lightning McQueen, the blue one,
Yeah.
this one. And they will expose you, and you realize, man, I am not that patient, right? Even in marriage, just communication with my wife, little things like, Luca, you need to finish all the milk in your cereal. My wife's like, well, if he's full, he doesn't need to finish it, right? And I'm like, well, he asked for more, so he needs to finish it. That's how I was raised, right? So this is what kids are doing, right? They're exposing weaknesses in our lives,
Or
personally.
traditions that we were raised with.
That and how we communicate. So definitely God is constantly teaching me through my children, and that's something I was just kind of, as we were celebrating 2 years for her little girl Kaleo, and then Luca turns 4 in 8 days. And so different stages they're going through, right? But how God is teaching, even when yesterday she wanted popcorn, and she eats the last popcorn, and then she goes from chill to, I want more popcorn, but in Spanish, right? With this terrible attitude, where did that come from? And now I'm annoyed that she's asking like that, and I'm like, wait, hold off. If I'm not careful, I'm just gonna be acting just like her, just in a 32-year-old version instead of a 2-year-old version. So I am thankful for the blessing of my kids. It's a responsibility. It's constantly growing, constantly learning. You guys are ahead of me by what, anywhere from
20
20 some
years.
to. So yeah, you guys are ahead of me, but that's where I've been at as far as just very
Well,
recently.
my 20-year-old, she acts like 2 sometimes too.
Somebody said the other day that they started pastoring sixth graders. That was kind of like their first small group, and now they pastor adult men. And he said sometimes adult men and sixth graders are actually not that different. The only difference is they have more money. But
Yeah,
you know,
that's good.
there's challenges that you deal with. But man, I'm thankful. So that's a little. I think we're sharing a little bit what's been going on in our lives. But
That's awesome.
No, that's awesome. Some of you guys don't know, we're here at P30 back again. I want to thank our sponsors and Ethan, just to allow us to be here at P30. You don't know anything about P30? Go ahead and Google it. You find out what it is. It's a co-working space, and just blessed that we can have space to just come and do this. It's a little bit of hassle that we have to set up and tear down, but it's awesome to have a place where we can come and share with you guys. And yeah, we showed up this morning and the coffee shop was closed.
the Keurig machine wasn't working.
And the Keurig machine wasn't working. But it's those things that God has to teach us. You know, hey, not everything is going to be perfect in this. Not everything is going to go the way you want it to go. And you just got to learn how to adjust. The reason why we wanted it to be more in a public area this time again is because we want to come back to the coffee shop mentality also, and keep us in your prayers. We're still praying for that place, but until that place comes, we'll be going from here to there. If they allow us to do a setup like this in a coffee shop, we would do it.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
think they'll probably kick us out.
With a working coffee machine.
Yeah.
Yes. I think, even that would be cool. And if somebody just randomly, hey, what's going on? If somebody's bold enough to just kind of walk
sit
in,
down.
sit down, we have an
Yeah.
extra mic and an extra camera setup that we can boom put right on. That'd be cool.
And I'm hoping we can get there. And we just need to find that right coffee shop and partner that we can do that at their place. So.
Shoot, we could have a sign. Want to jump in on the podcast? Sit down.
Yeah.
Like evangelism on the run,
Yeah.
on the go.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That's awesome.
So Andy, what's up with you?
Man, it's been an interesting 2 weeks. I actually woke up this morning just very humbled. Actually, my heart's pretty heavy this morning. I woke up this morning to the news that Israel is at war now. Hamas started firing rockets towards Israel. And why is it a big deal to me? Because I was just there a week ago. A week
Yeah.
ago today. Wait, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, a week ago today is when we got home. And so I'm thankful that God protected us and we were able to get home to our kids, because we would have been stuck there. And we still have friends over there that are actually stuck there right now. And so one, pray for the people, the good people of Israel. And that's God's nation. Pray for justice and for peace. We had an amazing trip there. We saw just so many things. We did. Every day was jam-packed.
Who'd you go with?
We went with a group called Biblical Foundations Academy. Biblical Foundations Academy was started by a brother named Keith Johnson, they're based out of Charlotte, North Carolina, and they're more of they're a messianic group. So like they're all about bridging the gap of getting back to the foundation of our Christian roots, which is the Jewish roots, right? That's we serve a Jewish Messiah, right? And so that's what our foundation is. And here in the West, the church has gotten away from that. And many people in our churches don't even know what the true foundation is. And so it's more of a messianic group that just really, like I said, bridges the gap, but also the relationship between the Jewish people and
Yeah.
and those who believe in, in the true Messiah. And so, anyways, good people. And so that's who we went with. We had a group of about 60 people, and we went all over the country. Israel is about the size of the state of Indiana.
Okay.
So you can imagine just going north, south, east, and west
Yeah.
in a week's time, and just so many things that we took in. I'm still processing mentally the things that I saw and touched. And,
I don't want to assume. I assume this is, but roads fully developed. Like you're traveling at
Yep.
70, 80 like you are here.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I mean,
So
highways.
you can get from point A to point
You
B.
can get-
similar time.
similar time. Everything's paved roads. I mean, there are some dirt roads depending on where you go, but I mean, there's highways.
Yeah.
We were in a nice bus, everywhere
Yeah.
we were going. So that was kind of nice. Kind of nice. I say that jokingly because life on the bus is can be taxing sometimes. You'd much rather be in a car, being able to really look at the landscape. But you got 60 people, so. But yeah, you can get anywhere pretty easily.
So full size bus.
Full size.
Say I always think of the mini bus back in Costa Rica, where the little tour bus where you can
Yeah.
get 12, 15 people in it.
Right.
But
Yeah.
you're talking
This is a full size bus. So we had two. We had one that was smaller like that, and then one that was a larger bus. It was air conditioned.
Greyhound kind of bus.
Yeah, that
Okay,
type of thing. USB in the seat.
Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of nice. But yeah, it was great. Some of the highlights that really touched me. Two of the days that we were there, we got to go to the Galilee, and so we sailed the waters of the Sea of Galilee.
Wow.
And we passed through Capernaum. We didn't really spend a lot of time in Capernaum.
How long were you on the sea?
We were on the sea for probably about an hour or so.
Do you crack open the Bible and
Absolutely,
read
Mark.
dude.
Yeah,
That's the
just to,
first. That's funny you said that. That's the first thing that I thought to do.
because that's what okay, I'm here right now. Let me
Yes.
reread this as I'm in the context and
that's
just
exactly
where was,
what I did.
Where was Peter walking
Yes.
to?
Something. Listen.
that's beautiful.
Something happens when
I'm
you
gonna
get on
cry.
that water, man. It's it was a perfect day. The sun was shining off the water. It was calm, and that's what the scripture actually says. When the Lord spoke to the wind and the waves, it said there was a great calm. And I saw that great calm. It was just gorgeous, just gorgeous. We were on this big wooden boat called Noah. It's kind of funny. But just an awesome day. And two people from our group who we actually became pretty good friends with, they renewed their vows on the boat,
That's
on the sea,
wow.
which was
Wow.
beautiful. It was just awesome. So we got to celebrate that with them. And so that was a big highlight for us, and just the Galilee region, because that's where, a big chunk of Christ's ministry was in that area. Just to know Christ was up on this mountain. He walked on these waters. It just does something to you. So
How beautiful is the landscape? Aside of the connection to the Bible and reading where you're at, is it pretty or is it just?
the Galilee region is gorgeous. It is gorgeous, mountainous, lush, green. Obviously the water. Like I said, mountainous. It's hilly. It's a beautiful area. So that's the northern region of Israel, and then the southern region, which actually is where the war broke out this morning. They started firing from Gaza. Gaza is part of what's called the West Bank area, or Palestinian controlled areas, and we went to the West Bank quite a bit. But so southern Israel, the landscape's way different. It's more like a brown mountain, more desertous, kind of thing. We went to the Dead Sea, got to experience that.
Is
you
it
go in?
dead?
What's that?
Is it dead?
It is dead, man. It's dead.
Did you get in?
We got in. It's an experience. Just because the salt content's so high, it keeps you afloat, right? and so you're trying to like swim in this water, and it's wanting to turn you over, and it's an interesting experience.
Your skin looks beautiful, by the way.
And that's the appeal. Thank you. That's the appeal to everybody. They do this like mud bath thing, and it's got all these vitamins and nutrients and stuff.
You know, I once went to Costa Rica. Sorry, side story.
Yeah.
With my dad and his best friend Orlando, and we were going through this park, and we get to this area, and they start like rubbing a little bit of like mud on their faces, and they convinced me that was really good for your skin. Turned out it was just regular mud, and they were just messing with me. In a national park.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
With like
That is
just
awesome.
people walking by. Anyways,
It's the
continue.
Dead Sea, bro.
Well,
That's so
here's
funny.
the thing with that. I mean, we all come from dirt, and we all come from, so there is a benefit
Yeah.
of that. That God knows what He's doing. He knew what He was doing. He could have just say, "Let there be man." Like let there be light. Let there be,
Right.
let the skies and the earth and the water separate. Let there be, vegetables. Let there be animals. But he chose to create us, form us. So from nothing, from the dirt.
From the dirt, man. From the dirt.
So-
And he used that in miracles, right?
Right.
He rubs mud on this blind guy's eyes, and it's like, go wash it. And now you can see. You know
What
I
did
mean?
he write on the? What do
Oh,
you guys think he wrote?
in
for
the dirt?
Yeah.
I've always wondered that. It's funny you brought that up. I've pondered that so many times.
It was
And,
with the woman that was caught in adultery, right?
Yes, it was. It was. Of course, the Bible doesn't say what he wrote, but I've heard interesting theories as to what it is. But yeah, all of the ways that.
Sorry,
that
continue.
connects. Yeah, no, you're good. I mean, we did some amazing things. We were actually one of the really big nights that we had was we were there for Yom Kippur, which is the highest holy day. It's the Day of Atonement, right? So,
What's the Day of Atonement for some people that don't know?
yeah, sure. So the Day of Atonement is historically the Israelites. It started. So if you read your Bible back in Exodus, Leviticus, all the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible, the Day of Atonement is the highest holy day where the priest would gather offerings from all of the people, and this is the only day of the year that the high priest would be able to go into the Holy of Holies and take the sacrifice, the blood of the sacrifice, and sprinkle it onto the mercy seat, which is on top of the Ark of the Covenant, to atone for the sins of the people,
Forgive,
to forgive.
forget.
And here's how you can remember atonement. You break it up into at-one-ment. Because in forgiveness, God brings us back to become one back with Him, right? So,
Is this the day we also celebrate? I'm asking because I don't know. In Egypt, the angel of death is coming through.
that's
And-
Passover.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
okay.
yeah, but different feast. But so the Passover was what you're talking about. They would put the blood over the doorpost, and they'd be passed over from the angel of death would pass them over. That's probably like number 2
Okay.
of the high holy days.
Okay.
Which would be in America we call it Easter, but it's really Passover.
What's the celebration like? You got people out on the streets partying?
Yeah.
Like, what's it?
So we spent the night of Yom Kippur at the Western Wall. Everybody's dressed in white. That's like the tradition. It's a glimpse of heaven. Check this out. Everybody's dressed in white. The moon was high and full. The breeze was blowing. It made me think of what the Hebrews would call the Ruach, the Holy Spirit, right? The Ruach. You were hearing different tongues. There was prayer happening at the wall. They were bringing out, at least on the men's side at the Western Wall, the Jewish rabbis would bring out 300 and 400-year-old Torah scrolls that are in these cases that are just adorned with silver and gold and jewels. And
Wow.
if we took the word and prayer a fraction, if we took it as importantly as they did, just a fraction, man, our church would be different. I mean, they take it seriously, the word and prayer unto God. I'm not saying we need to convert to Orthodox Jew or Judaism, but just seeing that gives you a different perspective in a fresh fire. Really.
In this mix, you have Messianic and Orthodox Jews.
Yeah, absolutely.
All
Yep.
celebrating together.
All together. So
For
what?
different reasons. Well, or different.
Well,
same reason, but
same reason. Like
different
you said,
perspective as far as
some different perspectives.
believing
Some
in
are
Jesus and
Messianic,
not.
some are not. Yeah.
yeah.
Here's what's interesting. A lot
Is
of
there a
people,
clash because of that on that day?
not really. Like most Jews are very respectful of someone who would align with Christianity. Like from my perspective, like their attitude towards it is like, you have the freedom to believe what you want to believe. I think you're wrong, but and actually there's actually a remnant of some Jews that actually have a separate Messiah that they believe. It's crazy. There's a sign all over the country of this guy. It's a person who's on this sign. His name's he was a rabbi. His name's Rebbe Lubavitcher, and they think that he's the Messiah and he's going to come back. And this isn't all Jews. This is just a specific remnant. There's a specific name for it, and I can't remember what it is, but it's interesting. But the word, their word that they would grow up reading, the Talmudic scriptures, talks about the Messiah would have come before the 70 AD destruction of the temple.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Jesus did. Yeshua did. And so, but they don't recognize that. So anyways, to answer your question, no, there's not really too much clash with that.
What about when you're on the West Bank? How much
West Bank is heavy.
with the Palestinians?
Very much.
Is there
Yeah,
friction?
there's that's where the clash is.
So they see you, they know you're on a
Sure.
tour of Israel,
Yeah.
and you're probably Christian believing
And white.
and white
They're very
and
rude.
American.
They're very rude. We had many times where we're standing there talking as a group, and our tour guide, Yariv, he was an amazing guy, would be telling us something historical about wherever we were, and they would just like walk right through your group. Not an excuse, that's just not their culture. It's not excuse me. Even the culture, like over there, like in America, if you walk down the street and I don't know you and we're coming from separate directions, usually somebody will, hey, how you doing? Give a smile, something like.
Yeah.
That's not the culture there. It's very stoic, very. You just actually. Our tour guide was telling us, he's like, there's something about Americans, they always smile at you. And I think it's a form of like security, like I come in peace and I'm not, hey, it's all good. But that's just, they're just specifically Jerusalem, like is so busy, and it's like you have people cutting in front of you, you have like just traffic everywhere, foot traffic, you shoot the gap, there's no time to have manners, basically. So just a lot of conflict in the West Bank. They're very, very rude, and you can just feel like you can tell they're mocking you, and it's most of the time it's in Arab, but you can just tell, even kids. I mean, even kids are yelling stuff at you.
How Are there ever any Palestinians on the Jewish side or on the
Yeah.
Israeli side?
Yeah.
How are the Israelis? Because that's the right term, right? Because Jew
Mhm.
refers to the religion, so you
Right.
could have an Israeli that is not Jewish.
Correct.
So how are Jews, believers,
Yeah.
or Israelis treating Palestinians that are walking through their territory? Is it the same?
It's
Because you said they're very respectful,
they're very
but
respectful.
how do they?
They
their
they
enemy.
really try not to engage too much. So the main area that we always entered the city was through the Damascus Gate, which takes you directly into the Muslim quarter. And so you would see Orthodox Jews like walking through there, and they're like hiding their eyes. They're like they don't want to make eye contact with anybody. They're just passing through. They don't have any business,
You think it's out of respect or out of fear for confrontation?
I think it could be both, but I think it's
Mhm.
more the first. I think it's more like, I don't want to say like a cleanliness thing, but like
Mm.
religiously, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I'm not supposed to be here, but I have to go this way. I don't know. So
Interesting.
they just kind of they try to avoid any type of conversation or anything in that area. Now there's some places where there has to be conversation and things like that. And we met some Arab people that were nice and respectful.
Yeah, yeah.
Most of them are business owners, and they're trying to, there the big economic thing is the tourism. They actually have what's called the Ministry of Tourism. So that's their huge money
Maker.
maker. Yeah,
Not ministry
you know.
as like in church ministry, but
Right.
like ministry as in like
Yeah.
An organization.
Yes, yeah.
Exactly. So that that plays into what's going on now. Like, does Hamas start shooting towards Jerusalem, where they have their own people and where there's a huge economic pull. There's a lot that goes into that, but anyways, it just a beautiful time. Yom Kippur that night was gorgeous. There was this white dove on this night that came and sat into the cleft of one of the rocks in the wall, and he just stood there the whole time.
Mm.
And I found out later, we were in the Jewish quarter, and we went into this this shop that was a biblical shop. We were buying a couple things, and I got to talk to the owner of the store, who is a Jew. He lives there full time. His name's Moshe. Wonderful, wonderful man. Spoke great English, but he wrote a book. Actually, I bought his book, and on the cover of the book was that dove.
Yeah.
I was like, it drew me to it. I'm like, dude, I saw this the other night at the wall. He's like, oh yeah, it's my friend. He said every time I go to the wall, he comes,
Wow.
and he goes to that same spot. He said, and every time there's a call for prayer at the wall, he's there. And it's like, man, that was really cool. That was
Wow.
really cool. Yeah. So yeah, amazing things. I could talk
Part of the
for days.
celebration. So it is lively. What's as people are there dressed in white walking, is it a lively celebration? Is it
I would say it's
like respectful, quiet?
It's reverent.
reverent.
It's
yes.
reverent. It's not necessarily quiet. It's just reverent. Like you can feel the reverence of the area. You're not allowed to use your phone. You're not taking pictures and videos at that time. Now, if there's not a feast going on and you're at the wall, you can take pictures and things like that. But during that celebration, no pictures. You're really in the moment. I really enjoyed it because
You're present.
yes, you're present, and just the power of being there together with everybody, and you're praying and worshiping, and all of these people are flooding my mind from back here that I'm you're trying to lift their name up, and it just gives you a different perspective of your faith and of your life, and a new thankfulness, a new gratefulness, a new everything. It kind of makes you, it challenges your tradition, and it makes you just think differently. I'll never be the same. I'm changed forever in a good way, and that doesn't mean I'm gonna, I'm turning my back on my faith or anything like that. I just see it in a new light.
Yeah.
Typically, you'll hear people that say like, "Oh, you'll never read the Bible the same." That is an understatement. The Bible, if you know the
Comes to
Bible,
life.
yeah, dude, it explodes in your face. It explodes in your face. You can see it. You have context now. You can see, like the Galilee, for example. We went to a specific place. It's called the Horns of Hattin. There's two places that are thought to be the place where Christ would have preached the Sermon on the Mount. One's the Mount of Beatitudes, which is right next to the sea, but it doesn't really fit the text. This other place is amazing. It's a place that it has multi-purpose. So that at one time it was a battlefield. Saladin and the Muslim armies fought the Crusaders in this area on the mountain and in the valley. It was called the Battle of Hattin, and they beat the Crusaders. But before that, the tradition of the people, and most of the people know the tradition of the area because they live there, that would be a better fit for where he would have preached a Sermon on the Mount. And I picked up on two things. One thing is when he preaches a sermon, he preaches on the parable of the soils. As you're walking through that valley and up to the mountain, you have rocky soil. There's thorn bushes everywhere. There's good soil, right? And then you go up the mountain, and probably 3/4 of the way up the mountain, there's this big rock. And it's almost like a high back chair. You could sit right in front of it, and it kind of V's like that. And there's other rocks around, but the rest of the mountain goes down. And what it does is it creates a natural amphitheater.
Yeah.
And we tested it, right? So we had someone up here speaking just like I am to you now, not shouting or anything like that. And people at the bottom at the foothills could hear you. And so you could imagine the multitudes being there, and they could hear everything he was saying.
Wow.
It just makes more sense.
No mics,
It
no
fits the
speakers,
text. No mics. Didn't need it,
Yeah.
It was completely clear. You didn't have to yell. It convinced me, man. It was like, this is the spot. This is the spot. So it gives you that context. It just really, and then you go back to read it and you're like, oh my gosh, I could just see.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that. Actually, I did a video on it as we're walking up, and I was thinking, how many people journeyed up this path to this mountain to hear this guy they've been hearing about? Because the scripture says, as he's preaching in the Galilee, he's preaching in the area and in their synagogues, preaching the gospel, and his fame has spread, and the multitudes are coming, and they're bringing their sick, and he's healing, and the Pharisees come, and just thinking about how many people from all over the land were bringing and traveling.
Because you know the story of the 5,000 men,
right?
But it's their wives. That's 10,000
and children.
Let's say everyone we're like Americans, that they wanna have 2 children, but we know that's not true.
Yeah.
So let's say they have 5 children. It's more like Latinos. We're Jewish descendants. We have more 5 children. So you have 5 children.
Yeah.
So that's 5,000, 10,000, 25,000.
Yeah.
35,000 people there.
And he did it twice. Right?
You
got the 5,000 and then he fed the
4,000. And
separate accounts.
But feed them, like at least for the feeding of those 5,000.
Mm-hmm. And little things like, what did they use to feed the people? 2 fish,
Yeah.
a loaf of bread.
Little boys.
Where would they get the fish from?
Little boy's lunch.
The Sea of Galilee's right there.
Yeah.
We actually we had lunch at a restaurant that's literally right across the street from one of the ports, and you can get fish. It's called St. Peter fish,
Yeah.
It's a good sized fish, and it was good. It was really good. But just those little things like that, you're like, that's why the kid had fish. The seed's right there.
Yeah.
You know.
You know what's cool? I was just thinking about this, listening on this, but the boy gave everything he had. He didn't just say, "Hey, I'll give you a piece of my lunch." The little bit that he had, he gave it all.
Yeah.
And it was just a reminder of, I think the context I was looking at was like tithing, offering, that 10%, is that Old Testament, New Testament, blah, 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 blah. If you struggle with that, heads up, you got a problem, because God doesn't want your 10%. He wants all of.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right?
100.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah.
And it was just that boy gave everything.
Yeah.
It wasn't much, but he gave it all.
Yep.
And it was just a challenge for me to walk in that of, God, hey, I don't have much.
Yeah.
But what I do have, I want to give it all to you. Do I struggle? Do I sometimes want to hold back? Let me keep this fish, but you can have the bread, right? Because I can do more with the fish. You take care of the bread. I like the fish more than the bread, or sometimes I like the bread, right?
Yeah.
But no, just like this is an image that I met with my my old high school principal. He's not old, and it's still my high school, so it's neither old. So my high school principal, just recently, and he was telling me about how he's trying to walk in life with what God gives him, and it's this image of like open hands like this.
Yeah.
It's not indifferent, like I don't care, here, somebody take it from me. It's, yes, I want to take care of it and be careful and manage it and steward it, be responsible for it. But the moment God says give it back, I'm not like this. It's still this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's hard.
Yes.
And that applies to everything in life. It's not just our finances. It can be the ministry we're in. It can be the church we're in. It can be the job we're in. Sometimes it can be our kids. Maybe it's time for them to transition somewhere else, go into a different state, different, out of our wings, right? And like we whatever, different stages in life where that happens, right? But like it's never mine. God's given it to me, but okay, God, yes, you want this job taken from me? Like, okay.
Here it is.
Yeah.
Or I'm no longer supposed to be a worship pastor, I have these savings. You want me to give them all to someone?
Yeah.
Whatever it is, my time. Oh, but that's my time. That's my day that I relax. And no, like if God's saying, right, and that boy, hey, this is mine, but here, Jesus,
right,
all of it.
Yeah,
I give it to you.
Yeah.
And just every day walking with that, it makes you rely on God. It makes you just trust Him, because if He takes it, you're like, oh, I don't have anything anymore.
Yeah.
Where's my identity now? Right? Where did I've identified as a worship pastor.
Yeah.
Sorry to phrase it that way. I think this is where my identities come from as a worship pastor, and God says no, and it's not what I'm going through, but I'm just example.
Yeah.
Now have I lost who I am because of that? It keeps us in check, and I think it's that image of that boy.
Yeah.
Everything. Here. It's all I got.
One of my favorite, ideas from that boy is seeing that we know how the Messiah felt about children, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, bring the children to me. And the fact that he used a boy, a child,
Childlike faith.
to do something miraculous through.
Yeah.
Right? Which ties in with this. We set ourselves up for failure when we do this and we hold on too tight to the things that don't really belong to us. Because that's everything. I mean, He owns it all.
Yeah.
Everything that is in our possession is only on loan from God. We need to loosen our grip a bit, a lot, and be open to what He gives and what He takes away. One phrase that I learned It's a Hebrew phrase that I learned there. It's kind of funny, actually. We learned a lot of that in trying to understand the language, because there's obviously a barrier, but it caused me to, even when I got back, it caused me to dive in deeper. I'm like, man, I knew some Hebrew, but I'm like, I need to get down to it.
Yeah.
And so I've been taking some Hebrew lessons and reading and translating and things like that. But anyways, this one word that we it kind of was thematic for our group is Hanani. Hanani means I'm open. Here I am. Do with me what you will. May your will be done. And so everywhere we went, that was in the mind, Hanani. At the wall, in the tomb, in the Galilee, and wherever, Hanani. Show me as I'm here what you want to show me. Speak to me what you want to speak to me. Reveal to me what you want to reveal to me. And I think that's such a universal understanding, to just being open to what he wants to say, to what he wants to bless you with, to how he wants to use you, on and on and on.